Hey y'all, today I'm going to be digging up all of my Ranunculus Corms. You can see right there, talking about what happened with my Ranunculus this year, and then prepping the soil and planting up some ProCut sunflowers in their place. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when my latest videos are up, and make sure you drop me a comment before. Do you love ProCut sunflowers or do you hate them? Because that's the way I've kind of been finding people. You're either one side or the other. Okay, let's talk about Ranunculus. So it didn't go well. So these are my Ranunculus. I got very few blooms. I think I just started them too late. I already dug up one corm. The corm's look in really great shape. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to lose all these. I know some people will leave them. I spent a lot of money. I don't want to leave them. So I'm going to be digging up all these corms. I'm going to be dusting off as much of the soil as possible and then laying them out to start drying. Once they've dried up a little bit, then I'm going to go ahead and store them probably in cold storage. I'm not sure. Let me look at that and decide what I want to do. But go ahead and store them for next year, and then I will plant them in the fall this year and try to overwinter them, and then hopefully get some springs in earlier, hopefully get some blooms in the earlier spring. Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing is using my hoary knife to dig up the existing corms. I'm going to loosen the soil around them, kind of shake them off as much as I can. All right, if we have them here. And then I'm going to leave it just like this, y'all. I'm going to put it in a tray and allow it to kind of dry out a little bit. I'm not going to allow it to dry out in the hot sun, thing like that. I'm going to put it in a shady location, and I'm not going to allow it to dry out like forever and ever. I'm going to give it just a couple of days and then bring them inside and store them. I'll probably do a whole separate video on how I decide to store them. There's a couple of different methods that you can do. So I'm going to need to make a decision of what I think will work best for myself and my corms. So this is what I'm going to be doing right now. They're going to be all mixed up because I have Ranunculus Rhinette White, Ranunculus Butterfly Hades, and Ranunculus Snowstorm. But I'm not going to store them all separately because when I planted them, I intermixed some of the rows. So I don't know which is what. Good times, y'all. But I am excited to store them. Some people have been asking a lot of questions about what I do with them, and truthfully, it's all a learning process. They did so poorly this year that I think I need to do an earlier start with them in doing fall planting and then letting them overwinter, and then hopefully getting some better blooms earlier on. This year with our spring, it was just very, very dry and then cold immediately to warm. We just didn't have like a very good spring, which is kind of laughable because anybody who lives in Texas knows that you should never guarantee on a good spring because it's just not something that really happens here very often. So anyway, sometimes we have great springs, most of the time we don't. So anyway, I'm going to finish pulling all these up and then I'll show you all the corms at the end. It already looks like some of them have made multiple corms, which is super exciting. So I'll show some of these close up after I get them all out. Okay, so I was just thinking, I didn't really talk about when the right time was to pull up these corms. It's when they're dying, guys, when they're dying back like this and they're turning brown. That's the time you want to pull up corms and get in there. You don't want to pull them up when they're still really green because that means the green or the leaves are still passing energy to the bulbs. And so you want to make sure you give the greens, the leaves, plenty of time to pass plenty of energy to the corms down low. Okay, let's take a minute to look at some of the corms. These are different varieties, so they're all kind of different. Here's one of the Hades red ones. It's definitely gotten larger, and it almost looks like there's like a separate corm, but I don't want to pull, like a separate corm has formed, but I don't want to, well, I do kind of want to pull it out. Let's see if I can gently, so you can see a separate one has formed there. I think that there might be more separate corms in all of these, but I won't know until it's kind of officially dried out. Then I think it might be a little bit easier to remove them. Also, I'll be cutting off all the foliage, things like that. But I'm going to let these dry for a little bit, and then I'll do a separate video on how I decide to store them. I mean, truthfully, in my zone, I think if I leave them in the ground, they're going to rot no matter what. Like, I literally probably don't have a chance. So I think that the best solution is to give it a try. If it doesn't go well, or if it's too tedious, well, then I can always buy new corms each season. I'm just thinking that getting them planted in the ground in the fall will be the way to go. Yeah, look at this separate corm that's formed. It just gently pulls away right there. How cool is that, y'all? Let's see about this other one over here. Yeah, looks like another corm has formed right there. How neat. So, you know, I went from 1 corm to 3, which is kind of cool right there. So that's something to kind of look at as I'm going through, breaking these apart, kind of discovering what's there, what's not. Let's see. And gently pull this one apart. There it is. Look at that. So that's kind of exciting. I might end up having more. Anyway, I'm going to let these dry out, and then, like I said, I'll show some dividing and storing and all that kind of stuff, maybe in a week or so, and show you what I'm going to do on that. But let's talk about ProCut sunflowers. Okay, so I'm going to be planting up the same space I was just in. I'm going to be planting up with ProCut sunflowers. They typically are planted about 6 inches apart, so I think that's what I'm going to go with. The further apart you plant ProCuts, the bigger they're going to get. The closer you plant them, the smaller they're going to be. Just how it is. You typically plant them about 1 inch deep in the soil. I think that I'm going to do ProCut White Light, and I think I might do some ProCut Gold Light. I'm going to start with those two first, and plant up this whole section with them. I should be able to get maybe about 30 each in there. I bought mine from sunflowerselections.com. They have the widest variety of sunflowers I've ever seen in my entire life. So it's a really good place to buy. You have to buy a big package, typically 100 plus. Just kind of depends on what kind of sales and stuff they have going. Anyway, so let's get started on this. Okay, we're all planted up. I wasn't very particular about spacing, maybe 4 to 6 inches. It's not perfectly spaced, but that's okay. I think it'll be beautiful as this all comes up. I will be watering this, surface watering this every day until I see sprouts coming up just because we want to keep the seeds moist so that they can germinate. I did want to show you some of my Lisianthus over here, which is starting to take off. It is about time to start pinching them back. Typically you want to pinch them back when they have 3 or 4 sets of leaves, and that creates a bushier plant. Just showing you a little bit of that real quick. It's no big deal. I'm just using my fingernail and just snipping off the very tops of it to create like a bushier plant with more blooms. So since we are right here, but yeah, you can see it's time to start pinching those back and getting them going. They love the heat. All right. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will put out a video soon about what I do with the ranunculus for storage. That's it. It's actually really nice weather today. It's the highs in this low 70s, which is really nice, which is really good considering the 100-degree weather we've been having. I got super burned this past weekend. At my son's baseball games. It's a lot. So I'm looking forward to a week of cool weather. I'm going to get a ton of projects done. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.